Today we're going to talk about direct and indirect characterization. These are the two main types of characterization when you're trying to figure out what a character is like. Direct characterization, it occurs when the author tells you directly what a character is like. It's the easiest way to determine what a character is like because the author has stated the personality traits with adjectives. You don't have to guess, you don't have to think about it. The author has put the adjective there for you to describe the character. For example, Susie is often distracted in class. I don't have to guess what Susie's like. The author tells me right here with this adjective, distracted. Distracted tells me how Susie is. So that's direct characterization because the author directly tells me what she's like. Another example, George was popular but snobby. I don't have to guess what George is like. I don't have to think about it because the author has made it very simple for me by using direct characterization. I know George is popular, but he's also snobby. So, see, these two adjectives show me that direct characterization is being used. I know what George is like because the author directly tells me using those adjectives. And the last example, Tim was a nice, honest boy. Well, I don't have to guess. Tim is nice and Tim is honest because the author used direct characterization and directly told me what he is like. Then you have indirect characterization. This is a little trickier. This occurs when the writer reveals information about a character and his or her personality without directly saying the character trait. You have to read and make inferences about what the character's like based on the evidence that's given. Writers show what the character is like by using the steal method. We can look at what the character says, the S, what the character thinks, what is the effect the character has on others, how the character acts, and what the character looks like. So if you can remember steal, if you have to look at what the character says, what the character thinks, what the effect is they have on others, how they act, or how they look, and the author does not give you the adjectives to describe the character, that would be a form of indirect characterization. Let's look at some examples. Sue gently knelt down and stretched out her hand to help her friend return to her feet after she fell on the field. I don't see any adjectives telling me what Sue is like, but I see her actions. She's kneeling down, stretching out her hand, helping her friend back up after she fell on the field. So I could say that Sue is probably kind, compassionate, helpful. But as you see, it doesn't say Sue is kind, helpful, because she knelt down and stretched out her hands. It just tells us what she did, and we have to infer what she's like. We have to come up with the adjective on our own. So that's an example of indirect characterization because the author did not directly tell me that she's kind. We have to look at what is said and then decide. Renee twisted her fingers in her hands and bit her lip. Her leg jiggled quickly and her eyes darted from side to side. It doesn't tell me what Renee is like, but because she's twisting her fingers round and round, she's biting her lip, she's shaking her leg back and forth quickly, and she's looking from side to side, I can infer that Renee is probably nervous or scared about something. But the author didn't say Renee is nervous and scared. It showed us how she was nervous and scared, and we had to come up with those adjectives. So that is also indirect characterization. And lastly, look at this example. Bob dropped his eyes toward the floor, and his face burned crimson red. His shoulders hunched over, and he pursed his lips, clearly attempting to fight back tears. So he's looking down at the floor. His face is red. He's got his shoulders hunched over. He's fighting back tears. So we can infer that Bob is sad or embarrassed. But it doesn't tell us that directly. It doesn't say Bob was embarrassed, Bob was scared, or Bob was shy. We have to infer those adjectives based on what the author has given us, his actions, what he's doing, how he's acting. That is indirect characterization, when you have to come up with the adjective all on your own. All right, look at these three choices. See if you can decide which of the following has an example of indirect characterization. So you're looking for an example where the adjective is not provided. All right, let's talk through this. So we're looking for one that does not have an adjective given. The small child was bossy and very rude to the other children. Well, I know this small child was, here's an adjective, bossy and rude. So I've been given the adjectives here. I didn't have to guess. So that's direct characterization. So that wouldn't be the answer. When I saw the mother trying to calm down the angry little boy, I was surprised that she was so loving and compassionate. Well, the mother is loving and compassionate. There's the adjectives that tell me I don't have to guess. And I don't even have to guess about the little boy because it says he's angry. So that's direct characterization. So this has to be our answer, but let's look and see why. Denise couldn't stop telling Joe how much she appreciated the small loan he was giving her. Hugs, cheek kisses, and an offer to make dinner ensued, with gratitude oozing from every word and motion. Denise sounds like she's thankful. She appreciates. It says that she appreciated, but it doesn't say she's thankful. But from her actions and the way she's treating Joe and what she's saying, we know that she is thankful. She's grateful. That would be an example of indirect characterization. Which of the following is an example of indirect characterization? Again, you're looking for the answer that does not provide the adjective for you. All right. The tired little boy was cranky and unhappy since he didn't get to take a nap. I have the word tired, cranky, and unhappy. I have three adjectives telling me what the little boy is like. I don't have to guess. The author gave me three adjectives. So that is not indirect. That's direct characterization. My best friend was so kind to me when my pet died. I don't have to guess what the friend is like because the author shows me that she and tells me that she's kind. Been given the adjective. Therefore, that is not indirect characterization. That's direct. I've been told directly. Whenever George is hungry, he stomps his feet and yells at his mom for more food. I don't have an adjective here. But I know from what the way he acts, he's spoiled. He's mean. I did not get that adjective from this. I had to infer the adjective, so that's indirect characterization. But let's look at the last one. Today, Betty Sue was frustrated and angry when she found out her best friend lied to her. Frustrated and angry. Those are the adjectives. So that's direct characterization. This is direct characterization, and this is direct characterization. This one I had to come up with the adjective all by myself, so that is the example of indirect characterization. Which of the following has an example of direct characterization? So we're looking for adjectives again. Let's look at this. Robert found cash on the floor and turned it into the office. I don't see an adjective describing Robert, but I know he is responsible, trustworthy, dependable, because he turned in the money to the office. But it doesn't tell me the adjective, so that's not direct characterization. I had to come up with that. Braden loves to help others when they are struggling in math class. He's the first one to volunteer to help. Sounds like he's helpful and he's kind, but it doesn't tell me that. So that's indirect characterization because I have to come up with the adjective helpful. You can find Emma Kate at the animal shelter every afternoon volunteering her time to wash and feed the abandoned dogs and cats. Emma Kate sounds helpful, compassionate, caring, but it doesn't tell me that. I have to infer that. So that would be indirect characterization. Emma Kate and Braden are compassionate about helping people and animals. That lets me know right here. It states it right here. Compassionate. They directly tell me what they are like. That is direct characterization. Which of the following has an example of indirect characterization? Again, you're looking for the one where you have to decide what the adjective is. It's not directly given to you. We're looking for indirect. Let's talk about this. We're looking for one where we have to decide the adjective. Fred is careless whenever he leaves the classroom. He's always forgetting his pencils and paper. Well, we're given an example, but we're also given an adjective here. So we don't have to guess. They're telling us directly. So that's not indirect. I wish Tristan wasn't so kind to me when I'm mean to him. Well, we know Tristan is kind because the author directly tells us. The teacher was prepared and ready to teach our class each day. We know the teacher's prepared and ready. We don't have to guess. The author directly tells us what the teacher is. Jess left the pizza crust and her dirty paper towel on the floor instead of picking it up and throwing it away. In this one, we don't understand or know or see an adjective that describes Jess, but because of what she leaves on the floor and what she doesn't do, we can tell that she's messy. She's irresponsible. That's what we have to come up with. We have to indirectly figure out what Jess is like based on what we see she does. So this is your indirect characterization. All right, how do you feel now about direct and indirect characterization? Do you feel confident and ready to teach the next lesson on direct and indirect characterization? I feel better about my understanding and could possibly or probably pass a test over these two types of characterization, or I still feel confused. And may need a little more help before I take a test over this. And that's direct and indirect characterization. There's two main types. Direct, when the author tells you directly, gives you the adjective to describe the character, and indirect, when you have to look at what the character says, what the character thinks, the effects that character has on other people, the way the character acts, the way the character looks. That's the indirect characterization when the adjective is not provided.